My name is Daisy Henry. I'm from Papua New Guinea, and I'm from a rural village uh, called Hegore, located in the Karukuhiri district. It's about 1 hour away from Port Moresby. I grew up in a village kind of natural environment, surrounded by coconut and mangrove forest and a river. So my lifestyle was pretty much off-grid. No electricity, no water supplies, no nearby school, and no medical centers. So the nearby school will be about 2 hours walking distance from my home. My father and my grandfather were businessmen, and so we had everything we needed. We were in a safe environment, and I was happy and all that, just growing up in the younger age. And until I was 4, my father passed away. Then my mum remarried a stepfather. That's when I've experienced domestic violence, where my stepfather would abuse physically and emotionally, verbally abusing my mother, and I have experienced that growing up. My mom was obviously bashed up, punched and bruised, and I felt weak, where I'm not able to do anything. Myself and my siblings ran down the river screaming and calling for help, that my mom is very weak and there is no one around. The nearby neighbor would be about half an hour drive away from us, 1 hour walking distance. There's many situations, but that was one of the situations where I couldn't find, we couldn't have anyone to hear our voice. We screamed and screamed and screamed, but all it was in the jungle, just kids screaming. He would say, "Get me a fire," and he would count to 3. So in that moment of walking to the fire and coming back, the count of 3 is over, and he would then say, "Go find me a stick." And so we would go and get a stick, and he will whip us with branch, a tree branch, or knife, back of a knife, bush knife, back of that. We get bruises all over and cuts and tree branches. That was daily growing up. That was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 is where I had to report him to my other relatives, who actually came for my aid. And so that afternoon, that night, he sharpened a knife, but it took all day sharpening the knife. And I believe that he's gonna kill me, because he's never sharpened his knife that long. So if I stayed that night, I don't know, he would have, because of me informing somebody else, because I've never informed anyone else. So this was it. By 13, it was it. It was time now that if I don't say anything, I would be killed. So that's when I took that step to inform the relative. After my relatives came and rescued me, the next day we went to the police station and reported it to the police station. We took a court order against him. Then we attended court, and then so then he lost the case, and they had put him to prison, and he died in prison. So that was my freedom. I was 13 years old. Yeah. I knew at that time that I had to say it, because if I don't say anything, I would be, I'd be dead. So that was my turning point, 13 years old. One time I would have been around 16, 17, where I was sleeping. My mom came and slept with me, so we slept outside in the veranda. And some men came in, broke in, thinking I was by myself, but this time I was with my mom. and he had broke into the house, come in and slept next to me, between me and my mum. And so they, as soon as my mum woke up and saw him, he then fled, but my mum knew the description of the person. So the next day, they thought, okay, well, they decided that I had to marry this guy. I didn't like this guy. I don't know this guy. I mean, he's a local person that you know, but I have nothing to do with him. Well, the grandfather, stepfather's father, he made the decision that I should marry this guy because he had come and slept next to me. So you don't have the right to say anything because that was it, that, you know, he had slept next to you, so that you had to marry this guy. So growing up in the environment of, like the village kind of environment, it's more like boys were superior and the girls were, you know, they were not, they were less superior because girls get married and they would be, you know, they'd move to their husbands and live with them, whereas the boys will live in the community and, you know, maintain their family name. So that was my experience, feeling that I was less advantaged, kind of situation like that. So I wanted that change, you know. So I wanted to do something better than this feeling of less than the boys. At 13, once I got that freedom, I worked in a plantation and I was paid 5 cents an hour. I saved money until 1 year, and then I went to Badili in Port Moresby and I paid my school fees. And then family found out and they came and took me out of school. And then I'd gone home, but my older brother says, well, you know, she's already been enrolled in school, so I didn't let her be. So then they had sent me back to school. So then I completed 2 years successfully. And at 16, At 16, I landed a job in the 5-star hotel at the Travelodge International Hotel. And so I worked my way. And then I won a trip to Australia. And so I ended up here. Yeah. So the effects of family violence experienced as a child in my life was I actually not trusted men. So that was the effect of it. I did not trust and I did not care, because if I give that trust and care, I might experience violence. So I kind of put myself away from that. So that actually affected my life, yeah, for a long period of time. Now in this, obviously I've grown to educate myself, which means personal development, learning to deal with my own traumas and all that. I have come to the understanding within myself to forgive, and then so I can actually, be free from that burden. The effect of the trauma that I had, the experience that I had gone through, had affected the mental state of my life as well. So that moving forward, I learned to take care of myself and understand how to actually heal myself in the progress. So if you're going through such experience, some trauma or some violence or anything like that you're going through, do speak to someone, your friends or neighbors or your relatives. Speak to someone about this so that the help will come to you. Family violence is not our culture.